Oh, it's dusty roads. Welcome back, viewers. It's James Kalm, your half-assed reporter, here in Chelsea on a Thursday night. And we're going to run into FREDRICKS FREISER and look at an exhibition by Cary Smith. Well, I received a late night Facebook message from Cary. That's the guy right there. Asking if somehow I could tweak my color peak reception in the camera. And, well, I'm not a real big tech head. I usually just switch on to automatic intelligent and make the videos. I mean, I've posted something like 1,100 of these and have over 10 million views and 20,000 subscribers. Cary had his daughter Emily come over and we went through and looked at all the various settings. So if these colors seem to be off, I'm going to blame it on her. If they're on target, then it's all my brilliant photo technology expertise. This is titled Warning Sign, 2017 Oil on Linen. Well, Cary's actually one of the contemporary local, fairly local, I think he lives in Connecticut, hard edge painters. And I think part of the reason that he was so concerned about my camera settings and the colors is that he spends a lot of time fine-tuning his colors, like this red versus yellow. That's kind of a cadmium red light, and that is not a straight, it's not a straight zinc yellow or cadmium yellow. That's got something, maybe a little black or something mixed in there. Also, now I'm not sure, but I think it was talking to Franklin Evans a couple of weeks ago, and he was saying that Cary paints freehand. He doesn't use tape. I don't know. Maybe we can snag him later and ask him about that. This is titled Color Blocks Number 1 with Yellow Border. Oil on Linen 35 by 28. Well, I'm a big fan of formalist painting, especially color-based formalist painting. I've recently been spending a lot of time looking at the work of Max Bill, who is I believe he was Swiss abstract kind of geometrical painter who was known in post-war Europe as one of the prototypes of something. It's not minimalism, but it is reductivist abstraction. Now, one of the things that I like about Cary's work is he does play various kinds of almost narratives with these colors. So we've got this block of robin eggs blue and this block of robin's shell blue, contrasted against the hard ultramarine, and yeah, it provides a nice a visual contrast going in different directions. It's titled Complex Diagonals number 7. Cary also does some very interesting things with his edge. I talk about how various artists treat their edge, and well, having been being a painter for going on 55 years now, I've always, or at least I've come to appreciate what the edge means. And there are some very interesting little tweaks. You know, again, Cary has almost a standard palette that he uses. That's the same red, and it's almost more of a cobalt blue. There's a lot of pop, a lot of sizzle going on there in my monitor. I think we saw some from this series in his last show. This is titled A Necessary Coexistence, black and white, 2017, oil on linen, 36 by 36. And for those of you who have been suggesting that I take a little, what was it, 2 breaths or 3 breaths or 5 seconds, something like that, to kind of hold a full frame picture of the paintings, I'm trying to do that, folks. This is actually interesting and makes me think of maybe 1950s or 1960s graphic design somehow. This little flower-like shape makes me think of something you might see in the background or on the set of the dating game. Another large piece. Okay, this will be an interesting comparison. This is shape number 3, and right across the gallery we've got shape number 2. And although these might look like very similar paintings, he's kind of rotated this. I almost look at that as a life jacket. This life jacket shape gets twisted. And so what I was talking about, his little elements, this section of blue, the way the kind of the corner of the white form comes down flush to that blue stripe. This is nice. There's still a little open gap there. Now, Cary uses a very fine canvas. This is titled Diagonals with 7 Colors. I actually came in and looked at this, and we're talking about the color and the effect of colors and how one color relates to another or affects another color that is next to it. And I was looking at this and my eye was kind of following the diagonal lines, and as it did, it was basically the yellow was kind of popping warm or cool depending on what color was next to it. You know, and these seem like they're very simple, but when you start to spend some time looking at them, you realize that these are actually very deeply considered, very planned out, and as we were saying, his colors are very precisely calibrated. Let's run in the back room. Well, this is actually nice. So we've got a selection. They're all from the Diagonal series. And in certain ways, this makes me think of a Sol-LeWitt kind of progression. This is 50 by 40 inches. Oil on linen, diagonal number 1. Well, you can see his very immaculate, his highly finished surfaces here, but he does maintain kind of a, it's not exactly matte, but it's not glossy either. This is titled Complex Diagonals, number 8. This is 60 by 48, so it's 5 by 4 feet. And this is interesting because this is actually larger than the painting we just looked at, but because of the thinner line, it actually looks like it's even bigger. And as I said, Cary likes to work in series. So I would say all of these blue pieces are kind of variations on that. Complex diagonals number 6. And the lines are getting thinner. Now, this is a great example of just formalistic division of space. So we kind of chop this in half horizontally, then chop it in half vertically. Then each one of those units we drag a diagonal across from corner to corner, and then chop them up. You can look at a lot of great Renaissance and Baroque paintings, and this is the kind of structure that's actually underlaying all the flailing nudes and muscle-bound gods. This is Complex Diagonals number 4, red and blue, 2017, oil on linen, 40 by 32. And This is also a very basic, simple composition, kind of riffing on that. We're going to slide down a wall of drawings, and like I said, this does kind of make me think about Sol LeWitt and his progressive divisions and extensions in space with geometry. Let's see if we can snag Cary and annoy him for a moment. So we snagged Cary Smith. Congratulations, the show looks good.
Thank you.
I was talking about your concern with color, and I was saying that there's actually kind of almost narratives going on with the color, the way that you're playing certain things off against each other. Why don't you give us some ideas about how you play with color, what your ideas are about color?
Well, I like my color to feel heightened. So the concept of singing on top of the note comes to mind at the moment. So it tends to be slightly towards the intellectual side, but still feels emotional and human. That's how I think about it. So when I make the color combinations, I let my body tell me what color belongs in a place, and I'll paint a color, I'll let my body tell me if it's right, and then I'll change it until it feels right. So that's very intuitive, but at the same time, I want it to be heightened without being fluorescent, because I'm not interested in syntheticism with my color, and yet I want it to be as fresh as I possibly can make it.
But you seem to have a kind of a group of colors that you use again and again.
Yeah.
You know, the red I've seen before, there's the baby blue is one of your popular colors, and the yellow is kind of an off yellow actually, right?
Yeah, there's manganese blue in that yellow. There's a little
manganese blue.
Manganese,
okay, that's
manganese is a strange blue.
Yes, it is.
It has a nervous energy within it. So
nervous energy in the blue.
In my opinion.
Okay.
And then,
so we can get some tranquilizers for that blue.
I could use that. And then I also add permanent rose to the yellow. Permanent rose is also a staining color, like manganese blue is not like a clobbering blue.
It's more like a dye than it is like a pigment,
exactly.
Yes.
So that the yellow remains, but you dirty it, both in a slightly warm direction and in a cool direction. And in terms of the same colors that you asked about, when I think about, I've said this before, that like I think about Cezanne and many other artists, but him in particular, let's say for the moment, and you look at his palette, or Edward Hopper, you see the same maroon, and you see the same turquoise, and you see the same mustard,
yellow ochre, and
you see these combinations, and the reason that I surmise, because I've not read this, that Hopper used those same colors again and again, was that the chord of those colors created an emotionally believable experience to him, so that over time he figured out that this group of colors created life. Same with Cezanne. Cezanne used the same colors again and again and again. You look at certain paintings of his and you see, and it's because, I think, same thing, how do you get a feeling of believable life energy? And so I'm drawn to these color combinations not because I understand why, but because I feel they are a way for me to get to that place.
Okay, well, you were also saying, so do you actually paint over if you're working there and you don't kind of get the harmony that you're looking for? Do you paint over that, and how do you get that very nice surface? You know, the very smooth and almost looks. Do you use tape as well?
No, I don't.
No, okay.
I use a board that moves in front of my work. It's like a moving maul stick, and it steadies my hand. Even though for years I told my students that they couldn't use any.
Couldn't use props.
They couldn't use props. They had their hand in the air.
Crutches.
Right. And I paint the edges with a very fine pointed brush, a watercolor brush, and then I fill in with a flat sable brush, like up to, say, a 10, 4, 6, 8, or 10. And I fill in loosely, quickly, and then I go back when it's kind of hardened up a little bit later in the day, and I feather it all evenly, generally evenly, but you can see the strokes.
Yes, if you look closely.
Yes. And then it's like shoveling your driveway. There's a rhythm to the way that I finish off the edges. So they're not like perfectly even. There's a band around the edges, cleaning up the edges. And I like the functionality of that stuff, where the decisions were not aesthetic, but they were functional. I'm sorry, I forgot. Did you have another question?
Well, that was a pretty good explanation. Anyway, Cary, congratulations. Does the show have a title?
It does not, although there are 3 titles in the show. There's
I saw the red and
Warning
blue,
Sign,
right?
There's Unnecessary Coexistence, and in the background it's titled Blue and Red. And
okay.
If there's something in that, then it was arrived at subconsciously.
Okay, all right, congratulations. So that's James Kalm reporting on. Cary Smith here at Fredericks and Freiser, and boy, everybody's ready to get out of here. You can leave your comments, ideas, suggestions, critiques, or whatever, but as we always say, thank you, Kate. Thanks, Dusty.